Let's delve into some horrifying cave explorations that ended the lives of numerous innocent people. June 24th, 1967. 10 cavers entered Yorkshire's Mossdale Cavern. They aimed to map and execute its remote tunnels. 4 of them left earlier, while 6 others were adamant to explore the deeper sides of this cave. For this, they entered into the southern side of the cave, pressing themselves into its narrow pathways. While they were in the crawling space, heavy rain started falling. Within 3 hours, almost 1 inch of water was around the cave. This rainfall turned the peaceful stream near the cave's entrance into a powerful current. This water surged deeper into the cave, trapping them in the narrow paths of Mossdale Cavern. Now the group was panicking. In their desperate attempt to save their lives, they crawled into a tight section known as Far Marathon Crawls. But the water was so high that there was no space to squeeze into that tight place. Morag Forbes, one of the 4 cavers who came out earlier, ran to the rescue teams for help, but rescue teams couldn't do anything. The rain was pouring down, and they couldn't access the cave without risking their lives.
Rain is coming down. We can't do anything.
So the operation was delayed for 1 full day. At last they reached the cave, pumped the water out of it, and tried to reach Marathon Crawls as soon as possible. But it was already too late. 5 cavers' dead bodies were in front of them. They became hopeful of finding the 6th one alive, but unfortunately his dead body was found 2 days later. He managed to squeeze into a tiny air pocket in a rock fissure. There he died of exhaustion and lack of oxygen. Rescue teams realized they couldn't take out the dead bodies of these cavers without risking their own lives. So Mossdale was permanently closed, and now it is the gravesite of 6 unlucky cavers. It was 1984 when Peter Verhersel desired to dive into Africa's Sterkfontein caves. So he, along with his friends, Nuno and Malcolm, set out to dive into the cave. The 3 divers set a standard guideline in deep waters so that they could dive back to the surface later on. The operation started, and everything went smoothly. The cave dive was 13 feet deep, so there was no room to get away from the guideline. Nuno was an experienced diver who had already been there before, so he guided his party toward the exit. While going up, Malcolm noticed that Peter wasn't following them. He told Nuno, who went back to look for Peter.
Peter is not here.
He soon found his flashlight in one of the side tunnels. Nuno became annoyed and asked Peter to follow him toward the exit. Peter was unwilling to exit this soon. He wanted to explore the side tunnels of this cave. Nuno said no to him, telling him that exploring these side tunnels is quite dangerous. Peter agreed, and they started their journey toward the exit. When the party reached the squeeze to exit the tunnel, Malcolm again noticed that Peter wasn't with them. Nuno and Malcolm went back. This time they searched for 4 hours, but Peter wasn't anywhere. Their oxygen tanks were finishing, and the flashlight battery was dying, so they came out of the water and called the rescue team. Police divers showed up in the evening and started their rescue operations. But as the night became dark, they had to call off their operation.
They had started this dive at 11 a.m., and it was now 2 o'clock in the morning.
By this time, they were sure that a dead body was waiting for them on the other side. Deep down in the water, Peter was busy exploring new passageways. He set out to explore a tunnel. Once satisfied with the exploration, he turned around to leave, but lost the pathway. In his desperation to reach his friends, he frantically moved around, getting deeper into the maze of the cave. At last, he found a small room. He was relieved to find air and decided to wait for his friends in that room. His oxygen cylinder was running out, and he had only 30 minutes of flashlight battery. So he turned the light off, squeezed his body tightly, and waited for his friends. At one point, he hit the walls of the cave with his cylinder to create some noise. He was hopeful that rescue teams would find him this way. On the other hand, police divers were sure that he was already dead, so they called off the operation and didn't come back for the rescue for 1 whole week. Even after that, they wasted 1 weekend looking for the dead body in the depths of the water, not knowing that Peter was still struggling with his life on the other side of the cave. By the 16th day, Peter was weak, hungry, and exhausted. The darkness was consuming him. He was moving around the dry cave, waiting for rescuers. For 6 weekends, police divers tried to find him and then called off the operation. They opened the dry cave for the cavers after that. Nuno, along with the team, was the first one to explore the dry cave site of Sterkfontein. After just hours of exploring that area, he found the dead body of Peter. He died after 3 to 4 weeks of struggle, losing 44 pounds in the suffering. Near his dead body, on the sand, he wrote a message for his family. I love you, Shirl and Ma. September 5th, 2013. Brett Smith and his friend decided to go on some adventures. For this, they went for a hunting trip in the remote backwoods of New Mexico. They just have basic supplies for hunting and a nylon rope in case of emergencies. The remote backwoods were dusty, with a few patches of forest here and there. It was a vacant area, and those two were alone there. Brett Smith was quite happy with this trip, not knowing that it would be his last one. While exploring the area, they found a jagged pit almost 40 feet deep. Brett leaned into it and decided to explore it. He had no experience of caving, no tools for caving, but his enthusiasm was unmatched. The opening of the pit was wide enough for him to squeeze down. So he told his friend that he was going down this pit. The friend was reluctant and tried to stop him, but he didn't give importance to his protests. He tied the thin nylon rope from the tree and started climbing down the pit. Soon, he realized his mistake. The walls were caving in from all sides. His muscles were getting tired of this exercise. The inexperience of caving was taking a toll on his mental and physical health. He didn't realize that he was in the Alf Pit, a dangerous pit that cavers avoid. The loose rocks beneath his shoes fell. Their echo was chilling. Brett panicked and looked beneath his feet. The cave was dark and deep. He looked up, and the entrance was far away. He was stuck in the middle, panicking and no more wanting to go down. So he called out for help. His friend heard his cries, and he also panicked. He didn't know how to deal with the situation, so he made quite a reckless decision. He tied the end of the nylon rope from his Jeep and told Brett that he was going to pull him above. The car started, and Brett slowly started going up. Then he noticed something. The rope was getting tight. He called out to his friend to stop, but it was already too late. The thin nylon rope snapped due to the pressure, and Brett fell into the pit. His friend heard the noise, rushed toward the opening of the pit, and called out. When Brett didn't respond, he called 911. Rescue teams soon came and started their operation. When they reached the bottom of the pit, they found Brett's dead body. He fell almost 20 feet on the jagged rocks. His head was bleeding, and his internal injuries were severe. At last, he succumbed to his injuries. If you like these stories, subscribe to our channel, and do tell us what you would like to see next time.